I was watching Rick Mears, for example. He pulled the pace off, probably because of that blistering tire problem, about 5 to 8 miles an hour. So Rick is really thinking about the race.
Yeah, but Bobby, as you and I well know, in the old days, we used to like to rev them up a little bit more than the crew chiefs wanted. I don't know about all this technology, telling the crew chiefs all that stuff. There used to be a reset, incidentally, for the tack. You could reach around behind it and reset the tack that had shown how much your car had revved up. Bobby used to reach around behind the dashboard and push that thing and come back in with the revs lower than he actually turned. Until one day, if I recall it right, Bobby, they put a little thumbtack on the back of that reset and caught you. Is that a true story or what?
No, it's not true, but I'll guarantee you one thing. You didn't click it off so the other drivers didn't know how tight. If you run a lower gear than him, you didn't want anybody to know about it.
Nobody expected you to admit to that anyway, Bobby.
He looked guilty, I want you.
Let's go to the pits again in Jackaroo.
Paul, as you know, under normal circumstances in a short race like this one, these fellows back here get a chance to watch the event. These are the Goodyear tire busters, the fellows that mount tires, and most IndyCar teams have got plenty of tires for a 200-mile contest. Not today with all the blistering problems. They're working as hard as the pit crews, their counterparts on pit road, because tires has become the key issue here in this race. Back to you.
Out on the circuit itself, the number 10 car of Derek Daly running down in the field after his stop. Irishman now living in Noblesville, Indiana, and in fact has built up quite a business of his own converting sports cars. But his real business is driving race cars. He runs in 14th place, and he is just ahead of Raul Boesel. We look on board here as Boesel runs in 4th position on the course, though not the greatest view over his right shoulder. Let's hope for Boesel it's looking a little bit better. Something on the camera lens there that is just not willing to come off. At the front of the field, it is still Rick Mears. You can see Mario Andretti and his son Michael just behind Raul Boesel. Now Mario currently runs in 3rd place. Michael is running back in 5th. But as far as contests on the circuit, the order has really been determined by the pit stops and attrition. We suggested that everyone might be very careful. That suggestion has now been reinforced by the fact that we also have run to 88 miles without a yellow flag. So they're being very, very careful here. Michael comes down along the inside of his father. It is not a battle for position, but Michael certainly wanted to get past Mario so that he could come back onto the leader lap just as quickly as possible.
It appears like Mario doesn't want to run up close to somebody. Probably, from what we heard in the pits a while ago, that the bad air is letting the front tire slip a little bit.
It's very important to see these two, father and son, running close together, though, now, gentlemen, because as you know, they're considering running together on the same team next year. Now, that's interesting because neither driver has ever wanted to run with another driver on his team. In fact, Michael Andretti managed to push Kevin Kogan out of the Craco team a couple of years ago. Mario has refused to run with another person on his team for several years now, and yet they are willing to run with each other next year, they have said, father and son. What exactly that will mean and what it portends for the future, I don't know. There's Michael Andretti, 25 years old. Of course, he's running 5th now. He won this race in decisive style last year, but has not been overly competitive this year so far.
And of course, the crowd here, the hometown crowd, really enjoys seeing Michael and Mario run racing against one another, almost no matter what position they are in. Of course, the crowd, I think, would love to see them up at the front of this field. Rick Mears continues to lead. He is well out in front. Danny Sullivan runs in 2nd place. Mario Andretti is 3rd. Then Michael now is challenging Mario. It is a challenge for the 3rd position. Michael running in 4th. Boesel is 5th. And Teo Fabi now runs in 6th.
The pace is just still awfully fast, Paul. They're still running 160, 165 mile an hour lap, but they seem to have gotten rid of the tire problem. Either the drivers are just not running as close, or they're just not letting their front end slip as much.
Danny Sullivan runs in 2nd place now, continues to chase his teammate.
You know, it's interesting, Paul. Danny Sullivan's season this year has been a microcosm, really, of his whole life. I mean, he started out in life really with a slow start. He left college after 2 semesters. He headed for New York, where he supported himself with a variety of jobs, including a waiter, a janitor, a cab driver. He went to England then to race. Really spotty success, and really the story with Danny Sullivan was always that it was somehow going to be in the future for him. It was never quite right now. And really, that's the way it seemed at the beginning of this season, too. He had a lot of speed at Indianapolis. He led the first half of that race easily. He was on the pole at Long Beach, but he couldn't start to score the points until suddenly at Milwaukee, the fourth race in, he started to score and score big. And as the season has gone on, as I said in the opening, he's become steadily more mature, steadily more intense. And I think his whole life is really coming together for Danny. We're seeing less Danny the playboy, Danny off doing the magazine things and the black tie parties, and more Danny the racing driver.
I have never seen Danny quite as intense as he appears here. It's suddenly that championship is just beyond his fingertips, and maybe he can reach out and grasp it.
But Paul, if you want to be a famous race driver or one that everybody calls good, you need to be good at oval tracks too. And Danny's trying to overcome that only road race, being good. He wants to be a good oval driver.
So at the front of the field, this car, the number 5 machine of Rick Mears. A Penske car, a second Penske car in second place, Danny Sullivan. Mario Andretti now runs in third, but Mario Andretti jumps into the pits for a stop. Michael Andretti goes into third, and let's go to the pits and Brian Hemmons.
It's a 4-tire stop for Mario Andretti and a full load of fuel now. The last time they made a pit stop, his right front tire was blistered terribly. That may be the problem again. We'll look at it. Yes, I can see the blisters on the tire as they roll it away. So Mario Andretti having some terrible tire problems. Paul?
Mario Andretti joins that struggle to get the car so that it will handle properly. We have not seen a lot of actual contest in positions. The drivers are being incredibly careful here. Mario Andretti gives up third place when he goes in the pits to his son Michael. So at the lead is Rick Mears. We'll be back with more after this commercial message. A word from our local station. Pennsylvania International Raceway, and back with Rick Mears in the lead. He only gave it up for a very short time when he dropped into the pits for fuel. He led from the outside of the front row on the green flag. Now back at the front of the field once again. Danny Sullivan in second. Michael Andretti is third. Mario Andretti, who had to drop into the pits and pick up fresh tires to try and correct a continuing blistering problem, has dropped to fourth. Teo Fabi, the Porsche-powered machine, is running in fifth place, where Old Boy Cell is sixth. Roberto Guerrero is seventh. Eighth is John Andretti. So now, as we approach the halfway point here, a very critical point in this race, the situation is that once they go 101 miles, then it is officially a race. So if there is any rain threatening, and we haven't seen a real sign of that recently, but if there is, the points will be determined. The race will have been run.
As I watched the race, Paul, I noticed that Rick is being closed up on pretty fast by Danny Sullivan, his teammate. Now this is going to be a good one. Let's watch this for a while. Danny is really working on Rick. Means he must have his chassis working good right now.
There's Scott Brayton as he brings his car into the pits, obviously not under power, and obviously with a critical problem there. Danny Sullivan on the course last time at the line was about a half a second behind his teammate Rick Mears and beginning to challenge. Scott Brayton, Coldwater, Michigan, the son of another great IndyCar driver, Lee Brayton, who has been pretty creative in putting some of his efforts together this year. The Hemmelgarn car here, and he's also been pretty creative in coming up with some paint jobs on the machine. They always seem to use those bright fluorescent colors on their car. Back at the front of the field, here is the 5 car of Rick Mears as he closes down behind Boycel. There was a time, in fact, when some said that Rick Mears was through with his driving, but it has been Rick's will to win that has brought him back to the front of an IndyCar field.
The year was 1984, and this practice accident at Nazareth Speedway in Montreal sent Rick Mears on a journey that would challenge him both physically and mentally. The impact of the crash shattered both his feet and threatened to end the 2-time Indy 500 champion's driving career. After several operations and weeks of hospitalization, a gaunt yet gallant young Rick Mears attacked the issue of his future.
I have never heard him say possibly 10, 12 weeks before I can walk normally, probably, totally on my own. I'm sure I'll be up and around on crutches and that kind of thing before that.
At first, the focus was simply upon the day when he could get back behind the wheel. But Mears' perseverance paid off, and in just 4 months, he was back in a race car. He could drive better, literally, than he could walk, but a burning question still remained. Could he win, or had the accident affected far more than his physical condition? That question echoed loudly throughout the 1985 season, and in 1986, Rick's attempts to return to victory lane were well fought, yet futile. The frustration to a team and driver that was used to winning became the subject of media and fan whispers. Whispers about whether Rick Mears could ever again win an IndyCar competition. What emerged from Rick Mears was a philosophical outlook.
We had so many good years in a row, you know, and you see a lot of other guys having up years, down years, up years, down years, and they were up and down 2, 3, 4 times before we ever had a bad season, you know, and so we're very grateful for that. And in that sense, you got to say, hey, you know, we've had so many good ones, we can't complain.
Through the questions, pain, and frustration stood Chris Bowen, who later married Rick Mears.
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't care at that time if he ever stepped foot in another race car again, because he went through a lot. But racing is his first love, and it always will be, and he won't be happy doing anything else. So I supported him like the rest of his family and friends, and that's why he is back today.
Car owner Roger Penske accepted the 2-year winless period as the price necessary for future success.
I certainly wasn't going to leave him down, and neither was the team. And I had confidence just seeing him back at the Speedway to get his award, get up there when he could hardly walk. You knew that he was going to do one thing and get back in that car and be a winner. And obviously, when you look at his record since then, in 1987, he started to run stronger on the road courses, and 88 has been a fantastic year for him. So he's been with us 11 years, and our team basically is, I think, the success is the continuity and staying with the right people.
Rick may have been down on his luck, but he refused to take it out on the news media or upon his fans.
I hate to lose, and I think you can ask Chris, you can ask anybody that's close to me, I hate to lose. I'm a very competitive person in whatever I'm doing. But that doesn't mean you have to act like a fool. And I just don't like that look. I never have, and I swore to myself a long time ago I'd never do that.
There are 2 checkered flags, and there they are. Rick Mears comes across the line, slows down as he does it. I think he ran out of fuel as he came to the line. Rick Mears, he's done it. A 2-year dry spell is over.
And that win at Pocono re-established Rick Mears and his winning ways.
Winning that race has just kind of capped it off. That just kind of, you know, we got it under our belt. Okay, now we can just, you know, get back to the normal routine and everything back to as normal as possible.
Normal as possible means winning a 3rd Indy 500 and the top spot in this year's Milwaukee 200, marking the end of a long and painful journey, one that resulted in the reestablishment of Rick Mears as a true champion.
Rick Mears, constantly supported by his wife, Chris, times on the scoring stand. When he was hospitalized in Methodist Hospital recovering, he never gave up any thoughts of driving, but in hours I spent with him, he said that he would concern himself with safety. This is a good example of Rick's concerns. That inside lane is a warm-up lane that he designed at this track so that you could warm your car up at a reasonable speed and never have to get on the race course. So Rick came out of that accident not only bound to improve himself, but to improve the entire sport of IndyCar racing. And he runs at the head of the field. Rick